Live from Costa Rica, my name is Matt Rosenstiel. Thank you very much for joining us here, live from Playa Junquial in Guanacaste. This is our first weekly Wednesday Hump Day chat with Costa Rica Matt. It's a huge pleasure to be broadcasting live to you tonight. Our main topic for discussion this evening is going to be buying a home versus buying a condo in Costa Rica. There's some very obvious differences and nuances, and I want to go through the different aspects of the pros and cons of each and discuss those with you. As you're joining, do be sure to check in the comments. We'd love to have you. Thank you very much for joining us. In addition to our main topic, home versus condo, we're also going to have a celebrity cameo from someone who has just moved down to Costa Rica. We'll do a short wrap-up of the news here in July and August. And finally, we will end with our interview and obviously take questions from you. I personally am super excited. Again, my name is Matt Rosenstiel. I finally have a gigantic microphone, and I even got a new lighting setup. Stay tuned. Greetings from Costa Rica again. My name is Matt Rosenstiel. If you're joining us live on YouTube, be sure to send a shout out. It's my pleasure to be broadcasting from Playa Junquial, which is in western Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Tonight, addressing the main topic, buying a home versus buying a condo here in Costa Rica. My advice is based on my 13 years of experience living here. Definitely, it's all based on Guanacaste and this province. I look forward to getting your questions, comments, and hearing from you. And eventually, we will be adding comments to the stream. First, before we get to the main topic, buying a home versus buying a condo, we're going to start out with a quick news wrap-up of what's going on here in Costa Rica as of August 25th. Again, this is my first live Wednesday weekly broadcast. We'll be doing Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Costa Rica chats with Costa Rica Matt every week, and I'll look forward to you joining us as much as you can. Without further ado, let's start touching on the news from July and August here in Costa Rica. And obviously, if you're an expat looking to move to Costa Rica or looking to become an expat, the biggest news items recently coming out of the country have been in regards to the two laws the national government is promoting and passing, rather. One designed to incentivize foreigners, especially through lowering the minimum amount required for investor status. And the second, the digital nomad law. Both of these topics have been covered ad infinitum in other channels, and it's not my interest to really go over all of the nuances of these laws because there are incredible resources out there that explain them. But essentially, the biggest news was that the Costa Rica government has officially made it only a requirement to invest $150,000 to gain investor residency status here in the country. That's coming down from $200,000 to $150,000. The bill had been moving through the legislative chamber in July, and finally it was recently signed into law by the president. In addition, we're also seeing progress with the digital nomad law, which will create visas up to a year, I believe, for digital nomads who can prove that they have income up to $3,000 a month to stay in the country. Frankly, I don't see the digital nomad law being such a gigantic change and mover and shaker in the world in Costa Rica, because frankly, to stay here for a year, even on your tourist visa, which is 90 days, you only need to leave the country a few times. And I find that many people find it easy to be here for a year and manage on a tourism visa where they might not be motivated to do all of the paperwork and the application that's needed to get a 1-year full visa and not have to leave the country a couple times. Just my opinion. We'll see what happens with that. Definitely with those two laws, what the Costa Rica government has been showing is that they're very much committed to stimulating foreign investment as a way to boost their economy, generate tax revenue, and make their budget work. It's generally good news for foreigners because they've taken this very obvious open arms approach saying, yes, please come here and spend your money, and looking forward to the future where you can never really predict what governments will do down the line. At least we can see that the Costa Rica government is showing this tendency. They want to stimulate foreign investment. They're looking to bring people down and give options for residency. And I would say that going forward, you're going to see more and more incentives, programs, different ways for people to come down here. In addition to that reduction to $150,000 for investor residency status, we also saw that they added exemptions for foreigners bringing in 2 vehicles you can get in tax-free into the country, as well as a container of your personal items. That was all part of the foreigner incentive law that's now enacted. So it's very exciting. They're obviously focused on trying to make people have an easier way to move to Costa Rica, and that's their stance on trying to get expats down here. One of the news items I wanted to mention next that you may not have heard quite so much outside of Costa Rica was what's become known as the cochinilla scandal, which is named after a little bug. But this was a massive scandal that rocked Costa Rica, I think, beginning in July and continues to have effects, where essentially the government uncovered and cracked down on a massive web of corruption between the National Highways Department, various ministries involving highway projects, roads, etc., and the contractors that receive money to do projects for them. I don't know what the total is right now of the number of people who've been thrown in jail as a result of the cochinilla scandal, but let's just suffice it to say that this kind of corruption in Costa Rica really, what they found was something that I would imagine happens in many governments, where government officials are simply giving contracts, money, etc., to people who are doing them favors, bribing them, etc. It reached the absolute top levels of some of Costa Rica's ministries. They had some very important people walking out of the buildings in handcuffs. So it was really massive. And importantly, one of the things that this has actually had as a practical consequence for us here on the ground is that a lot of the contracts that the Highway Department had signed with various municipalities throughout the country and different things that were going forward have now been, unfortunately, delayed. And I can't tell you which projects, where the highways won't happen, etc., but you will see, and I've heard from a local political official, that they're going to be very cautious. First, the Highways Ministry had paused a lot of these suspect contracts that were given in different projects, and the new officials who are in charge, given the sudden departure of the previous ones, are being very, very slow to sign the documents to move those projects forward again. So we might see, to everyone's absolute lack of surprise, that highways and road projects in Costa Rica are a little bit slower than we imagined. Personally, I have to be a bit grateful. We all know that this corruption and in governments everywhere, this sort of thing does affect how contracts are distributed. Personally, this is probably one of many different discoveries that could have been made, but it's the government cracking down on corruption and really actually taking some significant personalities down in the process. So everybody's been really interested and gossiping and looking at the different personalities who get arrested, etc. Let's go on and unfortunately quickly touch on COVID-19 and where we stand in Costa Rica. Obviously, the government here, just like everywhere internationally, is racing to implement a vaccination campaign. I just saw that we reached something like 4 million doses. For reference, there are 5 million people living in Costa Rica with about 500,000 foreigners. So of those 5 million, there is a very high percentage of people who've gotten their initial dose. The Costa Rica government structured it so that they really tried to get huge numbers in for that first one. And there's going to be a significant delay for a lot of people to get their second dose. But because the government has this very large, sprawling healthcare system that's already public medicine, it's been pretty easy for them to ramp up vaccination and distribute it out to communities. In our area, expats now pretty much of almost any age can get vaccinated, though at the public hospitals, you will still be waiting in a line. They've basically got massive open vaccination drives happening at these clinics throughout the country. And some people have said they could only wait for about 6 hours to get their shot or just wait for another day. So it's definitely seems to be that there are long lines, once again, to absolutely no one's surprise here in Costa Rica. Numbers, hospitalizations for COVID are up in the country currently. It was discouraging because we did have a couple positive months where, really in July, things felt like they were stabilizing or declining. Currently, we're seeing a renewed uptick in the number of cases, hospitalizations, and we're about 15 deaths per day in the country, again, of 5 million people. Quickly going on, we'll touch on the real estate market here as of August 25. We continue to see really strong momentum for sales up and down the coast. I was commenting to a client this morning that one of the biggest things I'm now seeing is that many people are moving to Costa Rica strictly because of motives that they want to get out of their home country. And it's been interesting as a realtor who very much believes in seeing before you buy and doing long research to get a lot of clients who really just want to find a home down here as soon as possible. One of those people, who is now a local celebrity, Shawn Patrick, will be joining me here for a chat in just a little bit. Shawn and his wife moved down here and actually bought a house sight unseen. They were extremely motivated to get out of the US. They've been in our town now, I think, for 3 or 4 days. So I thought it'd be really fun to have Shawn here and get his first impressions, etc. So the real estate market, in addition to Shawn and what we're seeing here in Junquillal, is extremely strong all the way from here up through Potrero. And as I've mentioned on previous videos, you really see that the market momentum in those high traffic areas, the high demand communities, Flamingo, Potrero, Tamarindo, those tourism hubs, that's where you're seeing almost no inventory available and pretty much anything that's reasonably priced being bought up at full speed. Really, especially as we approach the school year, we've also seen a lot of families purchasing their home to be able to enroll their kids in the local private schools. And in general, it continues to be one of the strongest years for real estate sales Guanacaste has seen ever since our market frenzy leading up to the 2009 crisis. So it's been really an interesting time to have gone from the absolute pause in business last year for COVID now to an absolute surge where most realtors are running their heads off, trying to keep everybody happy and get as many deals through as possible. Speaking of pauses, at this moment, I wanted to take a quick break and give a word from our sponsors. And there are sponsors only in that they serve amazing food, and I'm hoping to get one of their free arepas when I visit them next time. La Berraquera in Villa Real. If you live anywhere near Playa Tamarindo, this is Colombian street food done to an incredible degree. They make arepas, steaks, and some incredible food that my wife and kids and I absolutely love. If you're in Villa Real, check out La Berraquera right at the cross, headed down to Tamarindo. Espero que le gustó. Let's go on finally to our main discussion about buying a home in Costa Rica versus buying a condo. Really, I know that everyone understands the obvious differences between the two. A standalone home is your own property with almost no restrictions except for those you might see in a gated community. A condo, obviously, is a unit in a building that you basically have to follow a lot of rules on and on. Many people would immediately say, okay, the obvious. Well, most buyers I hear think that a condo is automatically way more secure, hands off, and easy to rent than a house. And I want to discuss those different aspects of comparing homes and condos. We're going to go over, first of all, that question of security. Second, we'll cover maintenance and costs. Third, we'll cover rentability. Fourth, we'll discuss location. Finally, we'll discuss ease of resale, again, comparing homes and condos. If you have questions that come up, be sure to post them in the comments. My assistant, Danielle, and my beautiful wife, Anne-Marie, are watching and can help get your comments out there so that we can see them and answer them. Just to go, and actually I realized I wasn't looking for comments in the software. I'll have to figure out where I'm going to scroll back to that. Danielle and Anne-Marie, I'll tell you when I'm ready for questions. Let's call it that. First, let's go over security in homes versus condos. And in speaking with anybody considering move to Costa Rica, what I say is your security is absolutely a combination of your common sense and some simple steps that you can take. And you can be extremely secure in a condo, extremely secure in a home, or you can make big mistakes and be insecure in either. I would not necessarily say off the bat that any particular home or any particular condo is more secure just by virtue of being one or the other. So if you're thinking about Costa Rica and, well, I don't want to have a property where my security is at risk, don't necessarily write off buying a home because, first of all, the country is extremely secure. Your risk in this area mainly consists of having someone sneak in and steal an electric gadget and your wallet, passports, etc. We see very few crimes that are worse than that. So people try and sneak in and you see that there's a ton of unforced entry into both homes and condos. That's people sleeping with their doors open that lose their electronics, or they have a window open with no bars and somebody can get in there. And that's sort of the recipe that you, as either a condo or a homeowner, have to avoid. I've got condos where there's a 24/7 guard present at all times. Even still, they have bars on the windows because that allows you to sleep entirely with the windows open. I have a home, my wife and I, that has very few security features outside of a massive barking dog. You can do a number of things to secure your property, whether it's living in a gated community in a condo or a home in a public area. And I just want to say I wouldn't necessarily write off a home thinking that a condo is inherently more secure. The bottom line is they're both secure if you take good care of your stuff and protect your entrances and use a lot of common sense. Let's move on to maintenance and costs. And one of the biggest criticisms people quickly have of condos are the HOA fees. I've owned a home here now for, 8 years. I meant to have numbers ready from those years when I used to keep track of our budget. But I can guarantee you that the amount of money my wife and I have to put into our house every year to maintain our house, the exterior, to make sure it's secure, on and on, all of the things that a condominium does for you, I'm absolutely positive we're spending on the order of $4,000 or $5,000 a year, which is about the equivalent of what you would see for a standard 2 or 3 bedroom HOA fee for a condo. Now, those maintenance costs, obviously, in your condo, you still have to maintain everything on the interior. At a house, you've got your exterior grounds and more to take care of, etc. But on the flip side, whereas people usually might write off a condo because, oh, I don't want to have those HOA fees. Well, if your HOA fees cover a pool, if they cover security, if they cover maintenance of everything outside of your condo's walls, generally speaking, all of those costs would be something that you'd be tackling, managing, and that would be mounting up if you owned a home as well. And frankly, if we did an in-depth analysis, we would see that Costa Rica homeowners end up spending almost as much as Costa Rica condo owners, the difference being that their costs are defrayed among a million different things, whereas your condo's HOA fees are just paying the administration to take care of everything. So long story short being there, don't necessarily write off a condo because of the HOA fees, although many people feel they can seem steep. Let's go on to rentability. And this is another one where I get a lot of people just supposing that condos are more rentable or easy to rent than homes. And again, I'd say that's a misconception, and that really what you should think about if you're focused on the rentability of a property, rather than thinking really you need to get the best home or condo, focused on getting the best location, the best interior design so that your rental profile photos look good, and the best property manager so that your vacation rentals are done well. If you do those three things well, to me, it won't matter whether you have a condo or a home of equivalent square footage. You need to be more focused first on finding that location rather than necessarily, a condo is going to rent better just by virtue of being a condo. Get close to the beach. That's how you can improve your rentability. Next, you need to create a beautiful interior that looks Instagrammable, fresh, welcoming, happy, cheery, etc. That can be done on a cheap budget. And finally, you need to market your property well with a true professional. And whether it's a home or condo, your rentals will do well. Let's touch on that location note for a minute. One thing I wanted to bring up here is that for many people, I feel many inquiries from clients who frankly have unrealistic expectations of what they can afford here in Costa Rica. I get tons of inquiries with that dream where someone wants to have a 2-bedroom bungalow on an ocean view knoll, less than a block from the beach, really with that spectacular view, that walking distance to a charming cafe just down the road, and everything in this perfect, idyllic Costa Rican community for $150,000. Well, the land that kind of house sits on, if it's in an area where you can walk to a cafe, probably costs more than $150,000 to begin with. And what I want to suggest is that if you have a dream for Costa Rica that is focused on, I want to be close to the beach, or I want to be within a walkable community, I want to be in the center of action or in a prime location, you may need to consider a condo simply because it'll open up options budget-wise. You can pretty much assume that anywhere there was one of these prime locations that people were dreaming of moving to, that idyllic knoll just a block from the ocean itself, somebody would have seen development potential on that hill, bought it and put it into condominiums or small homes basically lined up, etc. So do consider, if you're really focused on having that perfect location, that a condo might be the way that you have to achieve that. Again, do be sure to be posting comments and questions here. We'll be getting to those in just a couple minutes. I finally want to talk about the ease of resale factor in comparing homes and condos here in Costa Rica right now. Once again, to keep repeating and overbeating the same theme, the ease of resale is going to depend on a lot of external factors besides whether it's a home or it's a condo. You would find that there are abysmal condos that are never going to resell, even though they're in the absolute prime location. You'd find everything across the spectrum. And so rather than focusing on, okay, I want a property I can easily resell, I need a home or condo, again, focus on other factors entirely. Your resale potential, just like your rental potential, is going to largely be determined by your proximity to the beach or a major, tourism community, expat community, somewhere that people want to be. And you can resell a house tucked near the ocean or a condo much faster than those that are scattered throughout the hills in those adventuresome locations that people sometimes choose. Really, I would say that generally speaking, you could assume a condo would be easier to resell than a home, because there might be a lot more clients out there who are less afraid of a condo. The market, generally speaking, brings us lots of people who want turnkey, no hassle properties like a condo, and they immediately opt for that because they figure that's how it's going to be. One thing to go back on that I completely ignored here that I didn't necessarily mention, when we're talking about people having this vision that, the condo will be hands-free, super easy management, I'm going to be that's way more of an easy property to own. Here in Costa Rica, with the right property manager, a home is exactly the same way. If you've got your vacation rental manager who's spectacular at managing their business, they can take care of your home and give you that hands-free ownership experience in your home or in your condo. You might get a few more calls from that property manager on a yearly basis about a few more things owning a home. But really, anybody who buys down here in Costa Rica can expect that in their community, down in our tourism coastal areas, there are going to be a number of property managers who would love to run the house or run the condo for you. So if you're thinking of just opting for a condo because, I don't want to worry about my property, don't necessarily write off a house, because you can find a talented property manager, make them do everything, and enjoy it the same way you would a condo. I mentioned I have a celebrity in the office with me right now. Shawn Patrick and his wife Lynn just moved down to Costa Rica on Saturday. I thought it was Sunday they arrived in Playa Junquillal. They had taken the adventure at the dive without seeing their home. So in just a minute, we're going to talk to Shawn about his experience over the first few days living here in Costa Rica. First of all, I want to see if we have any questions that Daniel would like to post. And if we don't, we can just move on. We don't have to stop for them whatsoever. And while I'm stopping for a moment, I'll give a shout out here to Teresa and Brandon if you're watching. Andrew, thanks for joining. As always, appreciate your loyal watchership. Mario as well. Jean, love you very much. Looking forward to seeing you guys again sometime soon. Poppy, Mark, AMT, my wife, thank you very much for joining us. And everybody else, it's a pleasure having you here. Again, if you're just joining us, this is my first weekly Wednesday night Costa Rica chat with Costa Rica Matt. We'll be here Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. religiously going forward. Tonight's topic was home versus condo that we just covered, and we'll be picking a new topic every week and throwing in some variety in an homage to Johnny Carson. But anyhow, before we bring on Shawn for our interview, I'm going to have my assistant, Danielle, play. Oh, do we have a question? I might have missed it because I was tapping over to something. I was going to say, I'm going to have my assistant, Danielle, play a quick video. There is a B&B property for sale in the heart of Tamarindo. If you want to move to Costa Rica and you're dreaming of having a property where you can both live in it and generate rental income, create an amazing digital nomad campus, whatever your dream is, this 7-bedroom property could be a spectacular fit. Again, it's only a few blocks from the beach in Tamarindo, right downtown. It has a setup that allows you to live in a 3-bedroom house while renting 4 apartments. And the price was just reduced from the amount you'll see in the video, which was $750,000, down to $699,000. Be sure to email me at matt@lat10realty.com if you like the listing and if you have questions. Danielle, go ahead and hit it.
All right.
Joining me now in a miraculous transition and choreographed scene here is Shawn. Thanks very much for joining me, Shawn. I don't know.
Thank you.
Cheers. Welcome to the first weekly Wednesday night chat with Costa Rica Matt. Shawn, as I mentioned a couple times, just moved down to Costa Rica with his beautiful wife, Lynn. They ended up buying a home sight unseen, and they've been living there since Sunday when you arrived in our area. Thanks very much for joining us. I look forward to hearing how things are matching up with your impression. I am going to adjust here before we get into the thick of things. So tell me, first, give us a little bit about yourself, Shawn and Lynn. Tell us why you thought about moving to Costa Rica and what led you to be sitting here in my office.
Well, born and raised in California in the U.S. Pretty much worked in technology and marketing most of my adult life. I think it has something to do with, as you reach a certain age, time is more valuable than money. So, I think, and how you spend that time becomes something pretty important. And I definitely got tired of the constant insanity that is the existence in the United States. Things that everyone thinks are valuable there in reality just aren't really very valuable. I very much think of it as escaping the matrix a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm hearing that more and more from people, that the impetus is getting out, finding a better place to live, and Costa Rica has done a brilliant job positioning itself as this refuge where people can get out of the matrix, have a freer lifestyle, enjoy yourselves, and definitely focus less on some of the material things that can be very popular.
Oh yeah, no, I think George Carlin has a wonderful skit about having to buy a bigger house to stick more of your shit in as you keep gathering more shit. And I think I was definitely one of those people. Too much shit, and when we moved here, we sold everything.
Yeah.
I tried to get everything down into a backpack. It didn't quite get that small, but I absolutely reduced, down to just what I really needed, and that was it. And then showed up here. Fortunately, it's very trustworthy because I did buy it sight unseen.
Yeah.
So
there was a house there when you arrived.
Yeah, and I knew where you lived. So, that helped.
Absolutely. Shawn had visited Costa Rica before.
Yeah.
Lynn had not.
No.
She's not as crazy.
A lot of trust.
Yeah. She trusted you.
Yeah.
She trusted me. What's the biggest thing that struck you too, or been sort of surprising about the experience so far?
I don't know. I think it's just it's on a different frequency. I think everything in the United States, or at least being, again, stuck in the matrix where everyone's sort of an economic battery, and when you die, they just plug in a new one. That's kind of what it feels like in that environment. Here, it's a different frequency. You're hearing the howler moan. I can hear the ocean from my windows and my porch, which is really, really magical. In terms of, and I needed to slow down, in a number of ways. So it was fabulous.
You've always been you've had a variety of careers. What are you currently doing for a living?
Nail strip.
Nailed it. Perfect. And there's no delay, so it's in there for sure.
No, I've been in technology marketing really most of my life, so I'm still doing that. But I think COVID was actually in many ways sort of helpful for accelerating the remote work lifestyle and making that more realistic. And I don't think 10 years ago anything like this would have actually been possible in terms of me, coming to a place like this and credibly being able to do some work that was enough to sustain ourselves here. But we have also embraced the idea of frugality, going to the farmer's market and just getting into a lifestyle that's just more down to earth, and it was almost impossible for us to do that in the States.
Yeah.
Everything was so fast paced. We were always ending up in restaurants, always ending up behind on everything.
Yeah.
I spent all of my mornings usually getting up early in the morning, making coffee, I was in front of my computer. And that was like for as long as I can remember. And now I sat out on the porch and watched the rain this morning. So that was my beginning of my day. Me and my cat, just watching the rain. So
people who watch my YouTube channel will recognize the home Shawn and Lynn purchased. They actually picked up Palma Azul number 5, the 2-bedroom, 2-bath home that's been on our channel a couple times. It was under contract, fell out of contract. Shawn and Lynn.
A lot of broken hearts now.
A lot of broken hearts. It's been consistently popular because there aren't many contemporary, new homes close to the beach.
Yeah, and owning the land that is huge.
Yeah,
we were looking at a place in Tamarindo, and you mentioned owning a house versus a condo. It was a great position in Tamarindo, but HOA was like $700 a month, and it was pretty. There were some downsides to it, but being here in such close striking distance to Tamarindo or Santa Cruz, it's pretty fabulous position.
Yeah.
The restaurants in the area are excellent. Tried to fight fried chicken.
Over Ventanita.
Ventanita del Surfista.
Yeah,
right?
Excellent.
Surfer's Window.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I just realized there's a picture of your house behind us.
Yes.
We've been talking in front of the whole time.
No, it's fabulous. I don't have to give anyone my address because Palma Azul shows up, and so does the house.
Yeah.
So it's just like, look it up on the map.
Yeah, you did set
Not a
up a Google Earth point for Palma Azul, so you're set on. If you ever get lost, I guess.
No problem. That's
For sure.
very good.
So you've got high-speed internet at the house.
Yes.
You can hear the ocean from the porch.
Fabulous.
Tell us how, after you get done listening to the rain in the morning, what kinds of things are you doing to keep busy once you're done signing off of work?
Well, definitely hitting the beach. I think most days, unless it's absolutely deluge outside, I'm at the beach in the morning, preferably get there at sunset. That's the plan.
Yeah.
It's like a beach sandwich in the middle of some work and other things.
Yeah.
But that's that's the lifestyle for sure. It's much more on my clock too.
Yeah.
My speed has been AAA for a long time. So coming here and slowing down and getting into the vibe of this place. And plus I love being Central Time Zone.
Yeah.
Very nice. No more time changes.
That
alone is probably a huge sales feature.
Oh.
Coming here and avoiding that entire thing. So
it's not one I hit on very often, but
I love that.
When you move to Costa Rica, you don't have to worry about ever changing your clocks.
No.
Ever again, or missing an appointment due to daylight savings.
No, it's like 12 hours of sun, 12 hours of darkness. It's
6 to 6.
It's very, very just a good pace and a nice frequency. It's got a good rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Which I definitely fit into.
Yeah. One of the things I completely neglected to cover in my home versus condo discussion, a huge advantage that I found, people end up loving their home in Costa Rica more because they have something to do with their spare time, their weekends, something to keep them busy. What kinds of projects are you guys thinking about for your house, or how do you see, your property evolving? Because it's pretty basic right now.
Yeah, well, I definitely see us. I think we're going to do some fencing. I think we're going to do some planters and some kind of off-ground planters and some landscaping. Maybe a pool at some point, perhaps. My wife Lynn is really into doing natural art. She loves driftwood. That's not in short supply.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we dragged home a couple of pieces the other day, and there's again, kind of endless things to do with just the nature and the surroundings around you. It's I like that there's no malls around here. It's like you drive 40 miles an hour everywhere. The freeway is like a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're competing with dogs and chickens and geese and, you know, I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, we came from New Mexico and speed limit was like 75 on the freeway. And so everyone went 95.
Yeah.
Everyone's pissed off all the time. I mean, it's just, you know, it's definitely a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking for a lot of like New York style action, this is probably not the right place.
Yeah.
But quiet, laid back, you know, easy rhythm, awesome people.
Yeah,
Matt is like above and beyond a realtor. Okay, he's like concierge and like WhatsApping him and asking him all these questions.
I'm not a concierge.
He knows everyone.
Yeah,
can connect you to all of the right people, and it's fabulous.
If you move to Playa Junquillal, if you move to Playa Hermosa, I couldn't give you but one name of anybody there. And, you know,
it's comforting though, in that, you know, it's always a who you know world. It is, and it's nice because those, you know, references that come through those relationships are important. And, you know,
totally.
Everyone, you know, moving to a different country is a little bit different than moving from California to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Still in the United States, everything is pretty much the same. But coming here, it's a completely new experience. So, I mean, we didn't even know how to handle trash until the other day. So, like, again, everything is a completely new learning experience, but that's fun.
Mm-hmm. I think people don't understand how rural this area is. And, you know, you have to be a country mouse to love living here. We have 2-lane roads. You're driving in pastoral greenery, 40 minutes to a decent supermarket, you know, other stuff like that. And in between, there are towns of only a few hundred people. Even in Tamarindo, this thing I refer to as a major tourism hub, it's 3,000 or 4,000 people tops when the rooms are full. You know, it's
the big city.
Yeah, it's the big city, and I've had New Yorkers call it a quaint little beach town. But to me, you know, it's like overdeveloped madness. So this is an area that is super quiet. It's the scale of everything, and you know, generally speaking, there are very few areas of Costa Rica that are not like this. But we're talking about big spaces, not much going on, a slow pace of life where lots of people are farming, you know, really.
I haven't heard any sirens. I haven't seen any cops since I got into Guanacaste. So, you know, not like I'm trying to smuggle drugs into the country or something, but it's just fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in California, they would pull you over for there's millions of cops. You get pulled over all the time. And it's just a drag. You know, again, you hear gunshots, people are like losing their minds, there's sirens all the time. And all this stuff that sort of used to occupy some of the auditory in the environment is now taken up by like howler monkeys.
Drizzles. And
there's lightning bugs. I never even saw one of those until the other night. So I was like, that was shocking. Yeah. I thought I was having a stroke or something. I was like, no, it's actually nature. Yeah. So all of the experiences here are just amazing.
Cool. What places in Costa Rica do you have on your to see list? Are there any parks that you're really anxious to make a day trip out and go catch? Or
we definitely like. There's so many. I mean, there's like 28 parks or something in this country. It's ridiculous. It's like 5% of the world's flora and fauna are in this tiny country. So the experiences from a nature perspective are fabulous. And I think the country itself occupies a character space unlike any other country on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, ditching its military in 1949 and hiring teachers.
Yep.
You know, the kind of the Pura Vida moniker for the country is not just a label and a marketing slogan. It's absolutely something that people, they live that. It's a part of how they live. And you know, I mean, I think for a long time, the United States sort of became every man for himself in my mind. And coming to a place where that's just not the way things are wired is, I think, fabulous. The pyramid stack is different here.
Yeah. For sure.
Priorities are different. So, yeah, I think getting out to experience, we definitely want to go to Lake Arenal and really to all of the parks and experience the different parts of the country. But we chose Guanacaste very carefully. I mean, this was
And what
kind of
factors?
environment that I liked the idea of a drier climate. I liked being out in the Pacific. I grew up on the Pacific in California. And, there was just something about the place that I was drawn to. I definitely didn't want to be in a big city. I didn't want anything to do with San Jose or any of that. And Caribbean side, hurricanes and drug runners and I don't have time for that. So, the hotels.
And that's obviously a generalization. There are lovely spots on the Caribbean.
I'm sure there are.
There are lovely people, and it's not always hurricane season there.
No, absolutely not. But when I looked at all those things, I mean, it's definitely like, triangulation on steroids, trying to find the place that you think would be right for you.
Yeah.
That would give you everything that you want.
Yeah.
And fortunately, my needs are pretty light. Like if I have all those boxes checked. I mean, I love that I'm 350 yards away from the beach.
The beach.
Yeah. And as you know, it's a very packed beach of no one. So going out there is usually there's like 2 or 3 people out there along the entire beachfront. So it's just fabulous. And the environment is just amazing. So
what sorts of things, has there been anything that completely was different than you expected coming down to Costa Rica, or maybe Lynn has had some surprising reactions to things that weren't the way she thought it was going to be?
I don't think so. I mean, most of that I was sort of prepared for from my trip. I did do a lot of that. I mean, I think getting used to, what you can get at the grocery store, where you have to go to get what.
Yeah.
If there was something that you were really into in the States or wherever you're from, and, trying to find those types. I mean, fortunately, we're not like a Doritos family where we have to have a bunch of imported crap from America. Is not really like what we're all about. But there's always something that you're like used to getting. And that just takes a little more work to figure it out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, maybe we have to take a trip to Liberia to get something that we didn't, can't get here out in this area. But, on the whole, no, I would say that it's surprising. I mean, I find it very funny coming from technology and Silicon Valley and all the places I've lived. I've always wanted to get fiber to my house. And now I'm in the middle of nowhere in Costa Rica and have fiber
optic internet that we're broadcasting live from at 720p.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So that is fabulous. I mean, that alone is just such a huge draw, especially if you're doing, any kind of business over the internet and you're trying to do the remote work lifestyle. You have to have the right tools, or it's not practical.
Yeah. When Anne Marie and I moved down here, we were living on this little data card that could plug into the cell phone network in a little area in the mountains or the hills where you barely got any phone signal, and we would have like the faintest little bit of internet if we could put the thing in the exact right position. And then, like only one of us could use it at a time. That's never, oh man, sharing one internet connection between two, I mean, that's horrible.
That's harsh.
Now having fiber, having gone from that to the current status, it's like,
amazing.
This is absolutely the lap of luxury.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Like again, I mean, it's quite a contrast to be able to have that kind of capability and really access to terrific food, water. I mean, for all the paranoid people out there looking to move someplace where the environment can sustain you.
Yeah.
I mean, Costa Rica is kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, you feel good about it'd be easier to survive here than in Michigan.
Zombie apocalypse?
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything you wish you would have packed that you didn't? Did you forget?
No, I wish I would have left more there. I just getting here, and it was just we still brought too much shit. How is that possible?
Totally.
So I mean, I think it's always a sort of a little bit of paranoia that you're going to go to this place, and it's do I really have everything I need?
Yeah.
But then you realize there's a Walmart, and
like
a Price Club kind of thing in Liberia.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're moving to the moon. I mean, there actually is infrastructure here. There are things here, but it's hard to believe because they're out in this beauty. You do feel like they're out in the country here.
Yep.
I did watch 3 geese walk across the road in Paraíso and had to stop for the geese.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else doesn't notice because everyone's used to seeing.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Well, there were spoonbill ibises on the soccer field today. These amazing wading birds that there's a flock of them out there in Paraíso, and it's like spectacular birds. The whole town goes about their lives because they've seen them 8 million times. It's interesting. I would bet in a couple of years you'll be throwing out stuff that you unpacked and put on a shelf and never used.
I'm certain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you came with just the luggage limit that the airline allowed you.
That's right.
You had an extra charge for weight.
That's right.
But you did that, and that was it, and your cat.
That's right, and the cat. That was a little freaky, just making sure that we could get our animal in safely, and navigating the rules and making sure the health certificate was right. And that was injected a little bit of paranoia into the thing, but
yeah, people always worry. Yeah, especially with your little fur baby.
Where it's we love our cat, so he loves it here too. So
excellent.
Digging all the sand.
I was worried because if Loki hated it, we might.
No, we would have just said get used to it.
Yeah,
or stay.
Yeah,
no, he loves it. The sounds and everything.
Did you use that third-party provider did they provide consulting, or how did you figure out the process of bringing your cat? What was the key that got it all together?
Well, actually, I'm such again, trying to bring my AAA personality down a little. I ended up getting the USDA, whatever. I ended up getting the doctor in charge for the whole region of America and got her on the phone and then made sure that we did everything right. So
wow.
Yeah, I can be a little intense at times, but
that's
made me feel better though.
Totally. Well, and you can probably do your residency process yourself, with that sort of attitude. There's a way to come to Costa Rica where there are willing, happy people to help you do everything and get paid for it.
I'm totally using Gabrielle though. No, it's again, finding great people that you can trust and work with and make all of that easy. There are some things I just, that'd be like me go buying my house without you. Some things I just don't want to do. And, in Costa Rica, learning the way the system works, everyone uses attorneys here for everything. Including buying cars and all kinds of things. And just making sure that, doing those things right are not things I want to mess with. And I'm trying to learn Spanish, poquito español.
Yeah.
But reading it and writing documents in it and everything else, most everything has to be filed in Spanish. It's all in Spanish. So, making sure that stuff is done right is not something I want to mess with. So there is definitely a line that I'll go to. Yeah. And then I want somebody really good to work with. That I can count on and work with again. Over and over. So.
And that's probably the biggest reason people feel like a fish out of water in Costa Rica. They get here and they don't have those relationships that you have in the States. You've got your plumber, your electrician, the people you call when anything goes wrong. And you come here and you have not the slightest clue who these people are, how you do business with them, etc. And really, it can be important to find somebody who's lived in the community that you choose for a long time and get their WhatsApp contact list.
Absolutely.
The number of contacts I've sent to Shawn in a short time, where he'll say, okay, I need this now, and it's just call this guy, now this guy, now the other one, now her, and getting those initial relationships established. You see so many foreigners who I think sort of stick their elbows out and get defensive and figure that they're in a foreign country and that everyone's trying to screw them on and on and on. And you're going to be a lot happier as an expat when you get into those trusting relationships and you start having relaxed, trusting transactions on things.
I think it goes a long way to not be an asshole. Check your ego at the door.
Totally.
It's a mellower lifestyle.
Yeah.
People mutual respect, you know, if you're like just, you know, kind of that kind of person, I think that helps a lot too.
Totally. And that's really the not being an asshole is a challenge for lots of people, and checking that at and I'm realizing, I hope YouTube doesn't like ban my content now because we've just cussed a couple times, but
You said it was Johnny Carson. Did they bleep us?
no, yeah, yeah. Beep. Next time I'm gonna do a little juggling here with
Where's Ed?
yeah.
Am I Ed?
Got a voice. Anyhow, the people who come down here and are willing to very much check that defensiveness, or for lack of a word, being an a-hole, and you know, whether it's trusting that the waiter and the restaurant isn't charging you too much, or it's trusting that the attorney can successfully get you the car and that it's going to take 2 days and you just have to wait, you know, that can make living here, it's the difference between loving it and saying, I pura vida and this is for me, versus in a year, well, I had to wait at the bank, you know, on and on and on, and complaining incessantly and deciding that Costa Rica is not a good enough place to live, you know? And people you see so much of that negativity out there because, for many, many reasons, for sure. Yeah. I'm going to say, if we do have any questions, feel free to post them. Anne-Marie and Danielle, you can just put them up on the StreamYard thing. And if not, still totally fine if you want to ask Shawn something directly.
I'm an open book.
He is an absolutely open book. After all, he, used to be a male stripper, but
soon to be a male stripper. This is my next career.
We have a question first from Kevin to Shawn. What legal paperwork was required before buying? Did you create did you create or buy a corporation? And how did transfer of utilities and internet go? Interesting set of questions. So first of all, the legal paperwork required before buying, let's be clear, Shawn's actually about to sign that in a couple days. We haven't exactly closed.
Don't blow it yet.
I know. They're living in the house. We are about to close on it. Shawn had to first sign an option to purchase agreement to make offers and get a property under contract. Then you had to sign an escrow agreement when we have the house under contract to work with an escrow provider. And in order to close on the property, he's going to have to sign documents to create his corporation, documents to execute the transfer of the property, the transfer deed itself, and a closing statement.
Yeah. Well, there are some pros and cons to the whole corporation thing, and I went back and forth myself on that. We did choose the corporation because managing inheritance rights, things like that are just, I think, a little bit easier, at least from my analysis of it. So we did that. They are a little paranoid about where money comes from. So be prepared to show them, we sold our house in the States, so we had to show them our closing statements from, that, and our bank statements to prove where the money's coming from. I'm not Scarface, and, trying to launder money is definitely a concern in the country. So there's some red tape to go through there, but really pretty painless. I mean, I would say that it wasn't a heavy lift for us to go through that process. It's just going by the numbers and providing what they ask for, but pretty smooth, really.
Yeah. Why did you end up choosing a corporation?
Well, we do. I mean, the ease of inheritance rights is a big deal.
Okay, perfect.
Just making it I don't know, get sucked out in the ocean. Is this, is everything set up, and there isn't just going to be a hassle for my wife, or both of us got sucked into the ocean. You got to think about these things. So just making that stuff easy. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe we do want to rent the place out in the future. Yeah. Who knows? So just that all kind of gives it its own shell name, not our names. And it just creates, I think, an easier way of administrating that and handling. And I mean, again, there's some fees that we have to pay, annually and whatnot, but all in all, it just seemed like a very straightforward way to do it.
Yeah.
Appealing.
Next question, can you give a ballpark figure for a home, and is financing generally available? I'm sorry to, well, first of all, let's say a ballpark figure for a home.
It's going up.
It's going up. Materials costs in Costa Rica, just like everywhere, recently went through a massive spike. They're starting to decline again. Really giving a ballpark figure for a house, I would be comfortable saying that you could pay as little as $150,000, or let's say you could pay $99,000 or $100,000 for a simple one-bedroom, Tico-ish, just concrete house with not much going on and a simple situation. There are a few $100,000 properties out there, not too close to the beach.
Oh, sure.
Then there are like for example, at Palma Azul, we have a one-bedroom bungalow just 400 meters from the beach, living right next to Shawn.
My neighbor.
You could be Shawn's neighbor. That one-bedroom house, 550 square feet. It's a bungalow. They're asking $150,000. That's absolutely new, and that's more than a Tico simple house. It's got dropped ceilings and hardwood cabinetry and granite countertops.
You own the land.
And you own the land.
That's a key thing. And the property taxes are like nothing.
Yeah.
It's like $500 a year or something.
Unfortunately, though, to answer your question, financing is only available for Costa Ricans. The Costa Rica banks will not lend to a foreigner purchasing here because of the risk, just like a U.S. bank wouldn't lend to a Mexican tourist.
Yeah.
And U.S. banks won't give you a loan for your Costa Rica home purchase because their collateral, once you've purchased it, is in a foreign country that they have no idea of really evaluating how it looks or actually securing it as an asset. So no, unfortunately, this for foreigners purchasing in Costa Rica, financing is generally not available. There are exceptions where sellers directly finance the sale of their property. At Palma Azul, the developer is willing to talk about financing there. Also at Villas Venado, those condos, the sellers are also interested in offering financing. But even in those situations, when you find seller financing in Costa Rica, it's going to be expensive, 8 to 10% annual interest, not to mention points, etc., to set up the loan. And generally speaking, you're going to have to pay 50% down. So you're going to get 50% loan to value and the rest over maybe a period of 5 to 10 years on stiff interest rates. So it's to your advantage if you can wait until you can be a cash person purchasing in this market. Don't try and get a loan because you will have to pay significant interest for it. If we don't have any more questions for Shawn, I'm going to lean a little closer so I can see the time. Perfect. We're at 1 hour and 4 minutes. I wanted to do an hour here for our first ever Wednesday night Costa Rica chat.
I'm honored to be your first.
It is an honor, and this will be hopefully some year. We'll be looking back at episode 1 of a now storied online television show that's reached millions of people and brought thousands down to Costa Rica, and remembering when we had our humble beginnings here with a Wednesday night Costa Rica chat with Costa Rica Matt. Next week, and I've got to figure out what the date is. Next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Costa Rica time, I'm going to be talking about finding comp data here in Costa Rica. It's a topic I'm very passionate about. You can actually understand what sales prices of properties are and were here in the market. It's no longer just a complete circus trying to guess what stuff is selling for. So if you've joined tonight, do be sure to return next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Costa Rica time. I know you can add a reminder to your calendar using YouTube. You can also email me at matt@lat10realty.com. My name is Matt Rosenstiel, here from Playa Junquial, Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Tonight, my guest was Shawn Patrick, a recent and beloved arrival here in our humble community. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a very big pleasure to complete this. And I have to subtly inch closer to the computer to be able to end things on time. And while I trail off, let me just part by saying, thanks for watching and pura vida.
Pura vida. How'd I do?
Loved it. Great. I have no